8th regular Cross Lake City Council meeting. Let's stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for coming. Shar, I don't see on here approve additions.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, well, it's not on here, but let's approve the additions. Let's see, what are they?
They're in red on your
Yeah,
agenda.
I move we approve the additions.
Let me run through them quick, Aaron, first. So we've got some bills for approval. We got a change order from Hvac for new wood walls and mechanical, it doesn't say Hvac on it, that's why I'm confused. Another change order from Hvac for the painting the interior of the hose tower. We have got some commission applications that are in. We've got a letter from Chris and Mark McDonald. Oh, that's for the road projects. Comments regarding Whitefish Avenue, we've got some of those in Kitchigami Regional Library Service Contract. So those are the additions. You want to make a motion?
I move that we
I second.
those additions.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. You want a roll call, Shar?
John Andrews,
Yes.
Dave Schrupp,
Yes.
Marcia Siebert-Vols,
Yes.
Aaron Herzog,
Yes.
Dave Nevin.
Yes. Okay, next we have public forum. No action will be taken on any of the issues raised. If appropriate, the issues will be placed on the agenda of a future council meeting. Speaker must state their name and address. Each speaker is given 3-minute time limit. Does anybody want to come up for public forum? Not seeing anybody moving, we'll close public forum. Next is the consent calendar. Everybody had a chance to go through it.
I didn't have any questions on it.
I have got several questions on the bills for approval. And I don't know, should I just ask a few of them? Pull it? Okay, let's pull that and approve the rest of it.
What's the number?
C20 and C21. Okay, so do we have a motion to approve?
So moved. I move we approve the other items on the consent calendar.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Go ahead, Char.
Dave Nevin,
Yes.
John Andrews.
Yes.
Dave Schrupp,
Yes.
Marcia Siebert-Vols,
Yes.
Aaron Herzog.
Yes.
So I don't know, should I ask those questions now, Char, or should we wait and go over it?
Go over it when?
These, I don't know.
You may as well ask it now because I don't know if I'll have the answer. It might be a
Okay, we
department
got one
head.
for American Door Works door repair for $4,500. Can I just ask what happened?
Mr. Mayor, one of the county employees was pulling out, it was going out. One of my guys had just gone out. He closed the door, and the other guy just kept on going, drove right through the door. So the number 2 service door in the garage, they wiped it out.
This overhead service door?
Yeah.
And the county actually hit it, or what are your guys?
My guy hit the control to shut it because he didn't see anybody behind him, and when the county drivers
Caused the
drove through
county
it,
guy.
yeah. It's in for our insurance, a claim on our
Is
insurance,
there a
so.
split with the county or anything on that, or are we just covering it?
Well, most of it'll be taken care of by our insurance, but we gotta pay the bill before we get reimbursed, so.
Okay. Okay, then I've got one, Shar, and it's kind of, it's one of those sensitive ones, but Hathaway Construction, we wrote a check last or a week or so for it. I don't know that you have to get into it, Eric, but I guess my question about it is should I have signed that check before the council approved it? Yeah, well, I'm not aware that I'm doing that all the time, and is that okay policy to do that?
We have a policy that if it needs to get paid so that it doesn't have fees, that we can.
Okay,
We have a
I-
policy regarding that, yes.
I guess when I'm going in to sign them, I'm just kind of assuming they're all going in, and that's fine, if that's the policy, that's fine. Mills Motors, we have a Mack repair for $7,374. Is that the truck that we put into surplus?
Yes, it's up, it's ready to go out for the ad for sale.
Okay, I don't remember authorizing fixing it, Ted. I guess I thought we were just gonna sell it because it wasn't worth anything.
If you remember, I came back to the council and said that we were under, after we got into the investigation of it, it was worth nothing. And I told you guys that I had, in the process of you guys telling us no, I'd already had another company looking at it, getting a second opinion, which is Mills Motors. And they told me that it would be about between $6,800 and $7,000. Well, there ended up being another seal, so it ended up being $7,300.
Okay.
You remember when I came back to you?
I do recall it
Yeah.
now, yeah.
So that's where it is, and it will be going up for sale. We just finished getting all the stickers off the doors and all that, so.
So we are gonna just turn around and sell it now?
Yes,
Hopefully,
that was your instructions.
hopefully for more money. Okay, good.
We should be in the $30,000 with that.
Okay, then Eric, I've got a question for the police here, the body cameras that you've got on here. Did we not just buy some body cameras last year?
I don't believe we bought any body cameras last year. What I did is I ordered them last year. They were in this year's budget. We had some that were going bad. Basically, what it came down to is if we were to replace those, which were donated to begin with, if you recall, by Paul and Carol McCullough, it would have been $700 to replace the ones that were not working. So instead, we decided that it would be better to order the new ones at the beginning, or at the end of last year, so that they would be here for this year, and I'd have 6 new working cameras.
And so what I'm saying, we ordered last year, we talked about it and approved it last year. Is that true?
During budget, yep.
Okay, all right. So that's all I have. Let's approve it, make a motion to approve C20 and 21 unless somebody else has got anything else.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second,
Second by Schrupp. We'll let him get it. Go ahead, Char.
Marcia Siebert-Vols,
Yes.
Aaron Herzog,
Yes.
Dave Nevin,
Yes.
John Andrews.
Yes.
Dave Schrupp.
yes.
Okay, next we have the mayor and council members' report. First thing on the agenda is a road right-of-way vacation application from Kevin and Michelle McCormick. John, are you gonna take this, or no?
Same one that was,
Yeah, so do we just approve it and move it on? Does anybody have any questions? We'll just see what happens there.
the
Anybody?
two commissions did go through it again, and their recommendations are in this packet. Public Works and Park, they both recommended approval.
They both approved it.
So if anybody doesn't have any questions, let's take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the,
Let me just interrupt. I think you did kind of ask, but just to be clear, it was a public hearing last time and it got tabled, so we had time to change the ordinance and have it go back to committees. So you, maybe more, I think you just did, but maybe more formally, just before you make a final vote, ask, since it was a public hearing, make sure there's no other public comment before you finish your vote.
Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments about this road vacation? And is this the specific or is this the ordinance that we're doing? This is the specific.
We tabled this specific one a while back, so we would have time to change the ordinance and have the commissions look at it again. That's all been done, so now this is the actual vote on the specific vacation that Kevin McCormick presented a month or two ago.
Okay.
But
So-
it was a public hearing, so I want to make sure that anyone here, I recognize some people. If anybody wants to talk, now is the chance, because you're about to vote on it, it looks like.
Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Okay,
If we go ahead and approve this, what are the expenses that we're gonna see to the city? Is that zero or some attorney fees?
I do charge a lawyer fee for helping send out notices, but the application fee covers that. So I don't believe there's any out-of-pocket, whether you vote yes or no. It shouldn't, but there's no expense to the city.
Okay, thank you, Brad.
Are you
Okay,
ready for my
anything else?
motion?
Okay, do we have a motion on it?
I will make a motion to approve the road right-of-way vacation application from Kevin and Michelle McCormick, Chris and Heather Orth, and Brad and Kristen Evanson for Lake Trail.
Actually approving the resolution, vacating the property. It's on the top of the packet.
What's the number of the resolution?
20?
I don't remember when it's
The front page of D1.
Here,
There's no number yet.
Yep. So approving the front page of D1, is that your motion, Marcia?
Okay, I will make a motion to approve the resolution vacating property. Mine was better.
Okay, do we have a second?
I thought Dave already did.
Did you second that, Mr. Schrupp?
Nobody will.
Okay, we have a second. I have one comment to make on it, and, I mean, we've got the survey drawings. This is the way it's gonna be recorded, the way it's drawn, right? Huh? Yes, sir. Yeah.
The applicant, also a surveyor, is here and is shaking his head, yeah.
Okay, so this, the drawing that we see is what we've always agreed to, and that is the way the split's gonna go. Okay, Shar, do you want, huh? No? You wanna do a roll call then?
Aaron Herzog,
Yes,
Dave Nevin.
Yes.
John Andrews,
Yes,
Dave Schrupp,
Yes,
Marcia Zebert Rose.
Yes.
Okay, D2 is update on the fire hall. I don't know, Chip, you want to help me out with this? The fire hall's going good. I think they've got the floors all in and the apparatus base. They've got all the sheetrock hung. The tapers are in there this week.
Yeah, they finished the epoxy floor on the apparatus bay only. Sunday, they got the stripes in. Last Wednesday was the base. So that part's done. They still have to do the one hallway. That used to be our gear room, and they also have to do the new gear room and the hallway, which will be done after the taping and painting.
Okay, so are you still on track for getting your equipment back in there the end of this week or the first and
It'll
middle part?
be probably the end of next week.
Okay. And that's still okay with our,
So far, we have a meeting this Friday, but there's some minor things that they're working on trying to get caught up on, and just to get all of the equipment able to function correctly with my equipment, so.
okay. And I believe the hose tower, the block is all the way up. They're gonna try to work on that roof next week.
Yep, they're done with that. They're taking the scaffolding down now, and
Steel is going in stairs.
I'm not sure when that's going in.
I think, Andy, I talked to him today, and I think he said it was going in. Yeah.
But they're starting to tile some of the bathrooms, and so they're working, getting there.
Yeah, okay. So that's an update. Next one is the review the quote from K1 or KI Office Furniture for the fire station offices. Now, I took a look at this. I'm not sure what the price is. What is it? I can't.
$2,293.20 for to basically furnish 2 offices with desks in them. Same furniture we have in the offices here.
Desks and chairs or a chair?
Just the
separate?
desks and then the filing cabinets, same exact layout as what we have in here.
Okay. For the
I'm
chief
assuming
and the
you're keeping
assistant.
your old chair then? Because I don't see chair on here.
No, I have, I think I haven't looked at chairs yet. We need some chairs, and it's in the, I don't know what number that is. Do you remember? In the packet. In the layout of the cost, I think we have $2,500 in there for chairs, but I haven't looked at chairs yet.
Okay.
We might
Okay,
be able to
and this-
use, we might be able to find some that we can use that are in storage, or I'm not too worried about the
Well,
chairs.
I was asking because I didn't see him on,
Yep,
and usually the desk comes with the, or the chair
Yeah,
comes with the,
Yeah, I didn't look. I can find chairs.
Okay, is there any other questions or comments about this? Can we get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Approve it for the $2,293.20 for the 2 offices.
I'll second it.
Motion by Herzig, second by Andrews. Go ahead, Char.
Marcia Ziebert Rolls,
Yes.
Aaron Herzog,
Yes.
Dave Nevin.
Yes.
John Andrews,
Yes.
Dave Schrupp,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got approve a Winseth bill. And this for conversation is the same bill that goes back 4 or 5 months. I'm not sure how long ago it was.
The bill is dated August 23rd.
Okay, dated August 23rd. And it is for updating the building program and preliminary design for the new fire hall. You guys can all remember that? And that was back in the date when I kind of made an argument about it because I didn't believe we authorized to go ahead and have plans drawn, authorized Winseth to go ahead with it. We were in a conceptual mold discovery area with the old fire hall. So we tabled it, we didn't pay it back in August, and it's been kicked around and it keeps coming up. So I would like to have a little conversation about that. I don't think it's out of place for me to ask where the authorization come to spend that money. And I'm not really sure how to handle it.
Didn't we approve this at the last meeting?
No.
I thought we all voted yes.
No, it was taken off the calendar.
No, I don't think we did, Dave.
It was on the bills for approval last month.
And I pulled it.
No, not in January.
So this did get approved.
Well, I don't have any recall of it. What happened, Chip? Do you have anything to say about it?
I'm just going to go back a little bit, just to, on my recollection, July 13 council meeting, under the mayor's report, Mr. Schrupp, these are from the minutes, Mr. Schrupp suggested that Chief Lohmiller look at the building designs of other departments and get some quotes for the next council meeting.
That's right. Get some quotes?
Get some designs and from other departments and get some quotes.
Okay, and so you just took that as authorizing?
Taking people's designs, we've already had 5 bugles and we just put it on paper. That's the way I took it. In July 30th, I stated that I was tasked at the last council meeting with getting quotes and design of the cost of a new building, and Mike Englund presented. So I took it as you wanted to see. I feel this report helped the council with the decision of the complete inspection of the structure and for the council decision to move forward with the remodel. This report also showed options resulting from the discovery of the mold and water damage found on the initial demolition, so you had 2 things to look at.
Okay. Well, I guess if nobody, I still question it a little bit. I did not think that we indicated in any terms to go ahead with some plans at the expense of the city, but I'll leave it up to you guys if anybody's got any questions, or we'll just go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I think that at the time I remember that you didn't want to lose any time. And there was quite a discussion on should we go with a new fire hall? Should we remodel the old one? Remember, the mold was an issue. We didn't know how deep the mold would be. We didn't know the extensive thing, but you kept urging that we can't lose time. And so this is one of the options that we wanted to pursue just to get some idea on cost. So I think it was money well spent. And you got to pay the engineers for coming up with what they came up with. So they did it in a hell of a hurry.
Okay, anybody else have anything to say about it?
I agree.
Okay, do we have a motion to move it?
Well, I thought we already had approved it last month.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did on the consent calendar.
Okay. So it's already been approved.
Back in here then,
Yeah.
because I questioned. I pulled it, yeah. Okay, so I questioned it when I pulled the check.
Okay.
Okay. D2C, request from Hvac for a billing. certified by the arch, $257,428. I think it leaves a balance to finish of $344,651, if I'm reading this correct. Does anybody have any questions on that?
And I have a question.
Sure.
My question is, we've had a punch list going on for month after month on the new city hall. And I don't know where we are. I don't know who's managing the punch list, but we don't seem to get completion on the punch list. And I know there's separate contracts. But do we have to hold up paying this bill until that punch list is resolved? Anybody want to address the punch list, go right ahead. I think that's coming up on item 4 under D2 or D4.
Yeah, unfortunately, Andy Picard was not able to be at the meeting tonight. I agree, the punch list has been kind of irritating and dragging on. I don't know that we should drag the two of them together and hold up $260,000 because of it. But at some point in time, we should draw a line in the sand and get it done.
Why don't we just tell them, can we tell them that the next bill that they send in to be paid won't get paid unless the punch list is done?
We are still holding $41,000 on the city hall contract until that punch list is done.
So I guess we could take that approach, Dave, or we could tell them if it's not done by a week from Wednesday, we're gonna hire somebody to finish it and take it out of their proceeds.
There you go.
I mean, there are things we could do, and I would not be opposed to either one of them. I think it should be done also.
Yeah.
But I don't think we should let it interfere with this contract.
All right. Well, somebody needs to talk to them and just see if they can get it done, because it's
Would you like
every
me to
month
do
it's
that?
on here.
Char, do you want me to take that and do it? Yeah, okay, I'll talk to him.
I still have my question here.
All right, go ahead.
On our bill that we're currently going over, there's $45,600 and some worth of change orders listed. Is that accurate where we're at today, Mike?
Those are the change orders. Yes, those are accurate through that billing.
Because I know
And
they weren't putting stuff on here. That's why I'm asking the question.
no, in fact, I've got those highlighted on item C7 in the council packet too.
And we're okay then?
Yep.
And this includes through and including today, because
It does not include the 2 change orders we got late in the process.
Okay, so they're in addition to it.
Okay.
Okay, now we need a motion to approve this.
I'm so moved.
Motion by Andrews. Second.
I'll second it.
Second by Schrupp.
That's to approve high-tech?
Yeah, the 257 pay request. Okay, Shar?
Dave Schrupp,
Yes.
Marcia Ziebert-Volz,
Yes.
Aaron Herzog,
Yes.
Dave Nevin, John Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Now we've got a change order for part of the mold mitigation of the extra charges on the fire hall, and this one specifically addressed taking the OSB wall sheeting off. I believe that their estimate, at the time we asked them to give us estimates for that, was in the neighborhood of $10,000. This change order is for $6,996. I believe it's about $3,000 less than what their was.
Estimate was?
What their estimate was. So if there aren't any questions for it, I need a motion to approve it.
I move that we pay this bill for $69.9613 for removing OSB from the old fire hall.
Okay,
Second.
I'll
Go ahead, Marcia.
I'll second that
second
motion.
from Marcia. Okay, Shar?
Aaron Herzog,
Yes.
Dave Nevin,
Yes.
John Andrews.
Yes.
Dave Schrupp,
Yes.
Marcia Ziebert-Volz.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, the next is a change order, and it says frame new wood walls in the mechanical room. But I think a good portion of this change order involves some insulation and some piping, re-wrapping, and some other things. So they had put, I believe, $12,000 in their allowance for the, in the mold mitigation column. And this bill is $13,990, so it is $2,000 over their allowance. So anybody have any questions on that?
But if I remember, Chip, didn't they do a lot more work than what was originally bid? I thought there was a lot of pipe work that got checked and so forth that technically was in addition to what they're asking.
We are talking specifically about the mechanical room in this
Yeah.
change order.
In the mechanical room, is that the pump room?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
well,
they redid the walls and then,
I think the lines around the water, didn't they?
no, they didn't
They didn't
fix
do
anything with the pump.
I thought there was they ran some kind of a line in there so eventually you could have water in that room.
No, that's a totally different,
That's in the,
that's,
yeah.
that's the HVAC change order from last
This is
month.
back in the apparatus bay where the well is, pressure tank.
Yeah, council, we had $12,200 in our best estimate for this item here, and the actual is $13,990.77.
Yeah, so we're $1,700 over on this item.
I move that we pay them the $13,990.77.
I second it.
Okay, a motion and a second?
John Andrews,
Yes.
Dave Schrupp,
Yes?
Marcia Ziebert Bowles,
Yes.
Aaron Herzog,
Yes.
Dave Nevin.
Yes. Okay, the next one is a change order for the painting the interior walls of the hose tower with epoxy. And I believe at the last meeting, we approved that. So
You
this is
did, you approved the concept, this is the actual change order with the specific number.
Yep, and the budget you approved for that was $7,040.
And this is $69.98.
Yep.
So we need a motion for that one also.
I move that we accept this change order for the painting the interior walls of the hose tower with epoxy.
Okay, do it.
Second.
Herzog will second that.
Marcia Ziebert Bowles,
Yes.
Aaron Herzog,
Yes.
Dave Nevin.
Yes.
John Andrews,
Yes.
Dave Schrupp.
Yes.
Okay, the next one is a letter from Hvac with a quote for an additional monument sign out on the corner that we're gonna put in. I don't know if the people have seen this. It's the sign that's gonna go up on 66 and Daggett Bay Road for the City of Cross Lake Admin Building. They only had one sign proposed for the northbound traffic to see it. And so I asked them, while they're down there installing, doing the work, to give us a proposal to put a southbound sign so we could have it from two sides.
So can I ask a question and maybe suggest something? Have we done any work on this at all?
No.
Okay, well, this is, I guess what I'd like to do is ask that we sit on this a little bit so that I can send some pictures to all of you. I'm in Venice right now, and today we were in their downtown area, and they had two pretty nice outdoor kiosks. And these kiosks were weatherproof. They're not very big, but it's the same thing as what you go to Southdale or Brookdale or whatever, where you don't know where you're going until you look at one of these. But I see this as something that we might be able to use if we're going to add more sidewalks and connectivity. And I'd like you to weigh in on it and the Cross Lakers. I think this would be something that we could, I could just throw out a place like by Andy's, and it's got a small roof over it. And if visitors want to figure out where City Hall is or where the library is or where all the other establishments are, they're shown on this sign. So it's got a little map on it and it's weatherproof, but I think it's something we should look at before we spend $8,000 on one corner.
I don't disagree with you, Mr. Schrupp, but I think to have a specific sign identifying the location of the new City Hall and Police Department would probably be in our best interest. And if we do that, that's gonna kick this down the road 6 months or so. And I don't know that a kiosk on that corner, if that's the place to have a directory for the city. I mean, that's kind of above and beyond. I just want to add one more note on this sign. The delay for the sign has been so long because Hvac really never had any money in their proposal to place the sign on the corner. Right, wrong, or in between, they never did. They were going to just go put the old sign up on 2 posts and do it, but Andy Walesko did a little conceptual drawing of this one day, and so we're holding them to that sign, but it was only one serving the northbound people coming up, heading north. So this is an additional one. It's 10 feet wide, 7 feet or so tall. It's got the old sign, I don't know if you can see that, this old sign that used to be at City Hall, but it's got all new lettering in its place. So I think it's kind of simple. It says Planning and Zoning, Administrative and Police, and there's a sign there. I think we should just keep it as planned.
So if
you
we
put it
go
up
with the
there.
single-sided sign, there's no fee for it at all. This is
One-
only if
yeah,
we go with the
one
double-sided sign.
northbound sign, they're gonna put that in. To add the other side of it, $7,400.
Is anybody going to even see it coming from the other direction?
Sure they will. Yeah.
Where they're going to locate it, not?
So that sign is 10 feet wide, and I can't read it, but it's 6 or 7 feet tall.
Dave, this is Pat Netco. Is there any chance I could weigh in on this conversation?
Absolutely, Pat.
I'm Pat Netco, 36084 County Road 66. I am a Cross Laker, and I've been on the Cross Lakers for many years. And on the connectivity, we did some research, Dave Schrupp, on the kiosks. And the kiosks are a great idea. They are expensive. There's many different versions of them. What the kiosk does is take you to the sign that takes you to the place. So if there is not a sign on the corner that says City Hall, the kiosk is not going to be nearly as effective. So we've looked at different styles of kiosks and where they would be, and actually we haven't gone anywhere with that. Something more could be done with that if we developed a committee to look into that. I do think that the sign on the corner of 66 that shows that this is where you turn to go to City Hall is very important. In the future, if we add kiosks, the kiosk signs would point you to where the sign is that points you to the City Hall. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Right, and the location of where that kiosk should go, I mean, probably in front of Crafts.
See that?
Huh? Right.
Sorry.
But you're getting people's attention driving
Yep.
45 miles an hour on the road, and, that's kind of the thing you want to stand in front of and look at, so.
Well, if somebody's driving to Cross Lake and looking for the City Hall, there needs to be a big sign on the main road that says where it is.
Right. This simply achieves that in both directions, coming and going. We
So
could add-
We do have 2 green signs there now. One in each, it says City Hall, right? We're coming from the north and the south. I
We
believe
do, Mr. Schrupp, and
the
if you wanna
county put
stop-
them up.
If you want to stop at the list building and ask them how many times people come in asking for City Hall, I think it would, the highway signs are good, but they're not that effective. It just raises a lot of questions. So the signs, we've been doing this for 9 months, tried to put it in once, it failed. I would just kind of like to get it done. We have a sign showing people where the new City Hall that we built is.
So this sign would be at that corner,
Yep.
and it would direct for both north and south.
There'd be 2 signs angled. One would pick up the northbound and the other one would pick up the southbound.
And then he'll make sure that our emergency people get in and out without that sign interfering.
Why would it interfere?
Visual, because they're coming out, if they're running with red lights and siren.
yeah.
You've got.
It's back, it's out of the right of way. It's just like any other sign.
No.
Setback.
Sometimes these big ones get in the road.
Well, it's gotta be so far out of the right of way. There's rules again, and we're not gonna go against any rules or anything. It's gonna meet the setbacks. So I'd like a motion either to approve or deny the request, but I'd just like to get it done personally.
I would like to see it tabled for a month and give us a chance to take a look at it
Why
and
not?
work through it.
What if if we deny this, the others, the sign can go up still, can't it? The city sign, not the double-sided, but the
Well,
other sign?
I think we've kind of missed our window with 10 days worth of 20 below temperature. I think the ground is probably froze beyond digging right now. So we're probably, it weighs out at best case to do it anyway. But in the meantime, they could be building the sign and getting it ready so that when it is able to go in, then they could put it in. So Aaron's opinion is we should table it. Does anybody else have an opinion?
That way, if there's input anybody else wants to have, they can get it in.
Yeah, I agree with Aaron. I think this is money that wasn't in the budget.
Okay, so that's it? It dies? Nobody wants to make a motion to approve, huh? Okay, we'll let that go for another while. Let's see, where are we at here?
Punch list.
Punch list for City Hall. Well, I mean, if you want to just make it as simple as I'll take this punch list and go talk to him and tell him that he's got 2 weeks to get it done, or we'll find somebody else to do it.
I just wanted to keep it in the packet. And also, it's getting kind of blurry now. Where does the punch list end and our regular maintenance start? You know what I mean?
We will have to answer that question, but there should be a cutoff date. Totally agree. Okay.
Yeah, I think we should let Dave take this, is my opinion.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, do you want to make a motion out of that, or do you want to just?
Sure, yeah, I'll let, Dave, Nevin should, work with High-Tech on completing the punch list. I don't know what, get it all done by the 1st of April?
I second it.
Yeah, that's plenty, 6 weeks. I wouldn't give them that much time, but yeah, whatever.
I'll second that if that was a motion.
Okay, we got a motion, a second.
John Anders?
Yes.
Dave Schrupp?
Yes?
Marcia Zebert-Rolls?
Yes.
Aaron Herzog?
Yes.
Dave Nevin?
Yes. Okay, number 5 is appointment of city engineer. Last month, we did interview engineers. We had 4 of them that were finalists. Does anybody want to move a candidate forward that they'd like to be the city engineer?
I will. I propose Bolton Mink and also WSN.
So are you proposing no change?
I'm proposing no change.
Okay,
WSN did a pretty nice packet already, designed for roads, and Bolton Mink's.
okay, that's a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Schrupp. Go ahead, Char. You want a roll call?
Marcia Zebert-Rolls?
No.
Aaron Herzog?
No.
Dave Nevin?
No.
John
Motion.
Anders?
Yes.
Dave Schrupp?
Yes?
Motion fails.
Motion fails. Okay, does anybody else have another appointment they would like to make?
I think we need to stay with one. We need to have one. I think right now it becomes problematic at times,
Okay.
which one we're dealing with.
So would you like to make a recommendation?
The sewer.
Bolton and Mink.
Bolton Mink?
Bolton Mink.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? And that's for the city engineer in its entirety, correct?
Yep.
Okay, any other discussion? Roll call?
Dave Schrupp?
No?
Marcia Zebert-Rolls?
Yes.
Aaron Herzog?
Yes.
Dave Nevin?
Yes.
John Anders?
No.
Motion carries 3-2.
Okay. Next, we have some commission appointments. These people finally got their applications in, huh? Public safety, Chip and Eric, I'm gonna kind of look to you. We've got a Jeffrey Hvac who applied for it. I don't know him.
Resident lives down Sandy Shores, just across from Whipple.
Okay,
Retired Burnsville police officer. I think he held K-9 active. Not sure if he was a sergeant or not at the time or whatever, but recently retired.
Chip, do you have any interaction with him or know anything about him? So could we interview him? I kind of look at this public safety committee as not as public as the other committees. I know that we can't get into specifics when we're in committee there, but I don't know anything about him. So do we invite him to a meeting and see how it goes and decide? Or, yeah. I would like to personally at least have a conversation with him before.
I'm sure he'd be open to that.
So should we appoint him pending a satisfactory whatever conversation or something, or should we wait? Or because as we get down in here, I would like to start scheduling these public safety committee meetings too, so.
Right, and I guess I'd like to see, and sure Chip would also, to see what the role is gonna be for public safety.
Yeah, I don't think any of us know anymore.
First one will be organizational and just throw stuff at the table, so.
And for that reason, we may want to wait a month to appoint anybody to it besides us, so we can have that organizational meeting.
Okay, should we just leave it at that, and in that next month's time, go ahead, Chip, come on up. I'll have a conversation.
I'm just curious, who else is on the committee?
I believe it's the four of us.
The four of us.
Yeah, we'd probably want to include Kevin Lee from North Memorial. And it wouldn't be much with Ted to be on it either, because when we do have issues with tornadoes and other type of things, streets and public works is a
Well,
big
and that's
factor.
fine. Can we have the first meeting and just kind
Yep.
of call it an
Throw out some other
organizational
people.
meeting and
Yep.
kind of decide what we're trying to do?
Yeah, perfect. I just was throwing that out there along with some county
Yeah,
people.
I don't think anything is closed.
yeah, it's just to get it started, get it going. Okay, next, Tim Berg put in an application for Public Works. Is there an opening on Public Works?
He can be, we have no alternates on public.
So we should do him as an alternate. Okay. So thank you, Tim Berg, for doing that. Next is Park and Rec, and
You want to make a motion on that?
okay. Individually, I suppose we should. So does anybody have a motion for Tim Berg for Public Works?
I'll make a motion that we allow Tim to come back as a alternate on the Public Works Committee. He worked really well before.
I'll second that.
Okay,
Aaron Herzog,
Yes.
Dave Nevin.
yes.
John Andrews.
Yes.
Dave Schrupp,
Yes?
Marcia Zebert Bowles.
Yes.
Okay, next is the Park and Rec. Now, how many positions are open there, Shar? Two?
2 people are up for reappointment.
Okay,
There's 1 vacancy,
okay,
and they have no alternates.
okay.
We could actually use all of them, so it's here.
It's a total of 7 people.
So what I've got here is I've got 5 names, and I'm just gonna be candid like I always am, but I have kind of tried to get some younger people to step up to be on the Park and Rec, because I would like to see the Park and Rec be kind of transition into being more kid-friendly, or at least try to bring back the baseball games and basketball, whatever. I mean, the park used to be pretty busy with kids, and I don't see it so much anymore. So that being said, Kara Porter volunteered. Should we do them one at a time, or should I do them all and just see if the group agrees with the whole thing I'm talking about? Do them all at a time. So I'd like to see Kara Porter go on there as a full-time, Heather Jones also as a full-time, and Joel Knipple as a full-time, and I'd like to see Joe Albrecht and Ann Schrupp be alternates. And actually, I want to have a little conversation about Joe Albrecht. Joe lives in Breezy Point,
Right?
and I highly value his input. He's a great guy, but I've got a little concern about him being a voting member to a commission that spends Cross Lake City tax dollars. Now, Joe has been very involved with the Park and Rec. He does fantastic. I'd love to see him stay on. just as an advisory or something, but I guess I want to hear your guys' opinion on that. Should the commission
Can I
members?
just say that the commission doesn't spend money? They just make recommendations to the
I
council.
get that, but I mean, they do make recommendations. So my feeling is anybody who's on a commission voting to bring something forward to the city council should be a citizen taxpayer of Cross Lake.
Then you need to change the ordinance number 2-185. The application form says for that committee that residency is not required. And the ordinance reads that Park and Library Commission shall consist of 7 members, including residents and non-residents, with a variety of interests and backgrounds relative to the park and recreation. And please don't forget the library. Joe and Ann have been very instrumental and put many years in the library. So that has been part of our ordinance for many years. So, and I believe you were at a meeting and you said something to him that was probably not correct, but, you know, looking at all the time that he's put in for us, I feel pretty bad about what was said to him.
Well, I don't know that, okay, whatever.
I think that Joe and Ann have both been fabulous related to the library. I'm not against having some new people on, but I do think that you've got a lot of experience here that you're going to potentially not have anymore. I have nothing against doing things for the kids, but it's been a really tough year for COVID. So I think Ann and Joe Albrecht ought to stay on personally.
Okay, that's Mr. Andrews' opinion.
And don't we require the form to be filled out?
Which form, Mr. Schraub?
Joel Knipples.
Did he not fill it out? He
No.
filled one out.
I know Joel, but I don't know why, you know, maybe he's not interested. I don't know. It just, everybody else filled it all out.
Didn't he fill it out?
Yeah, it's here.
You mean he didn't put down his resume?
We didn't answer much, any of the questions on why he wants to be on the library.
Okay, Mr. Schrupp, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No.
Okay, I haven't heard from Aaron or Marcia. What's your feeling on this?
I am fine with any of them. When you fill out an application, that means that you want to contribute to that committee and to the city of Cross Lake. So I wouldn't want to dissuade anyone from filling out applications. And I guess I would not change the ordinance. I never read it, so I didn't know that after you read it, Dave, there's no reason why Joe Albright couldn't be on there, so I don't have a problem with any of them.
But I put a specific order to it,
Yeah.
Marcia.
Do you want to hear from Aaron, or do you want a motion?
Well, Aaron,
Yeah, I've been through this, being a full-time and then back to an alternate, and then all of a sudden, well, gee, some things happened, and all of a sudden, Aaron, will you bail us out? And I'll tell you what, I came real close to saying no. And it would have been a real awkward situation for the city. So when they're up for a renewal, they only get to renew so many times. I think we renew them. And that's kind of a button for me. I'm sorry, but it is. And I think we renew them. And sounds like we need to appoint one additional person to full-time, if I heard you correctly.
yeah.
And I don't care which one it is.
So what are you saying, to put Joe and Ann back on?
Yes.
Renew them for 2 more years?
Yes.
Okay. So is that a motion?
Yes, I'll make that motion. Joe and Ann back
Want
for,
to second that?
I second it.
but I don't care who the third one is for somebody else.
Well,
needs
I
to
believe
know.
that Heather Jones was the first one that came in and filled out.
Okay.
That would be the 3.
And then the other 2 will be alternates. Am I correct?
Okay.
I would second Aaron's motion.
Okay, so I'm going to recap Aaron's motion, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
But Aaron's motion is to reappoint Joe Albrecht and Ann Schrupp, and to fill Heather Jones in for the 3rd open position on it, and appoint Kara Porter and Joel Knippel as alternates to the Park and Rec Committee.
Correct.
I believe that's what you said, okay? John Andrews? is
I second that. Yes.
Okay, Shar, go ahead.
Marcia Ziebert Bowles.
Yes.
Aaron Herzog.
Yes.
Dave Nevin.
No.
John Andrews.
Yes.
Dave Schrupp.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Letter from Emily Food Shelf looking for donations. We actually have got 2 of them, I believe. Mr. Rowe, there's one here with your name on it. Maybe you should take this one. The Honorable Mayor Steve Rowe. They haven't updated their books for a while, have they? Okay, the Emily Food Shelf is looking for a donation of $250 or whatever amount you deem possible so that we can continue. I'm not going to read the whole letter, but that's what they're asking for. So what is our policy on donating to things? I mean, do we do that?
Do we have a fund? I guess is the first one, my first question.
You have donated to the Emily Food Shelf the last 2 years, and you have done $250 both
Okay.
years.
But do we have a fund that we draw it from? Yes. Okay. Then I'm good with it.
Okay, so unless anybody's got any more conversation about that, we're looking for a motion for it.
I so move.
What's your motion, Mr. Andrews?
I move that we donate $250 to the Emily Food Shelf.
Okay,
Second.
and we have a second by Herzog.
John Andrews.
Yes.
Dave Schrupp.
Yes.
Marcia Ziebert Bowles.
Yes.
Aaron Herzog.
Yes.
Dave Nevin.
Yes. Okay, next, D9 is the Crow Wing County Historical Society, not the Cross Lake Historical Society, is also looking for a donation. I don't see a dollar amount here they're looking for. What have we done in the past with them, Shar, do you recall?
We have not given them a donation in the past.
Okay. And if we wanted to give them one, where would the funds come from? Or maybe
We
Mr.
have-
Lannis should answer that. Just,
Go ahead.
They'd come out of the same general estimate we do donations for the food shelf.
so would that be setting a policy or, to do that?
No, it'd just be honoring their request.
Right. Okay, that's all I have to say about it. If anybody else has got any comments on it. And if not, does anybody want to make a motion to either do a donation or not? Nobody wants to make a motion?
Not.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we do not participate in the Crow Wing County Historical Society.
I'll second it.
Now, we have a second. Any other discussion on it? Okay, Shar?
John Andrews.
Yes.
Dave Schrupp.
Yes.
Marcia Ziebert Bowles.
Yes.
Aaron Herzog.
Yes.
Dave Nevin.
Yes. Marcia, can I hand this one off to you, because you kind of brought it up? The public forum? D10?
Sure.
Caught you sleeping there a little bit, huh?
Yeah, you did. I would like to see or suggest to the city council that our public forum statement be changed to action may or may not be taken on any issues raised. If council requires more information or time for consideration, the issues will be placed on the agenda of the next regular council meeting. Speaker must state their name and address. At the discretion of the mayor, each speaker is given a 3-minute time limit.
And the only thing I would like to add to that is that we hold a regular council meeting once a month. And the way I view that is this is the public's opportunity to voice their opinion, concerns, direction, anything they want to do. So it's your time to do it. So I don't want to not engage with you. I don't want to limit your time unless you get carried away and you're putting us all to sleep. You know, I value what you got to say, so that's my nickel's worth onto that.
But this allows for action on things that really could be acted on without any investigation to or any additional information. This would make it cleaner. Our hands aren't tied. If we want to act on it, we act on it, and if we don't, then it goes on the agenda for the next regular meeting.
Okay, so want a motion on that? Does everybody understand the difference there?
I'll make the motion that we change the public forum statement to that.
Okay, and I'll second it for conversation, and I think the biggest change is that in the current one, we say we will definitely, if needed, we will pick it up at the next one. This one is opening up so that we can discuss it at the current one. Is that kind of the gist of it?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second on that. Any other comments? Go ahead, Char.
Aaron Herzog,
Yes.
Dave Nevin,
Yes.
John Andrews,
Yes.
Dave Schrupp,
Yes.
Marcia Zebert-Bowles.
Yes.
Before you move on, could you go back to number 7, D7?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I missed that. Okay, scheduling a meeting for the Public Safety Committee. Boy, the days are filling right up, huh?
It doesn't matter to me, day or daytime or evening, whatever. You two guys work full-time. I don't, you
Thanks,
three
Eric.
guys. I'll just rub that in a little bit before we...
I'm available Monday through Thursday next week. The following week I'll be unavailable.
Yeah, what do we have next week? This week we got stuff. Monday through Thursday. So should we go Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock?
I've got it's either 8:30 or 11 o'clock.
On Tuesday?
On Tuesday.
How about Tuesday afternoon?
Tuesday afternoon works for me.
Tuesday at 2 o'clock?
Sure.
Eric, Chip? And what was
the 16th, to be clear.
16th? And we don't have to, we can discuss at that little get-together of when and how often and whatever we want to do, so that would be the groundbreaker. Okay, all agreed?
Yep.
Okay, next, Marcia, I'm going to give this back to you too. You've got a question on designation of funds and review assigned funds, so.
I think at the last meeting, I had asked if Parks and Rec, there was over budgeting situation. I think the sewer fund, the Public Works has now got $150,000 that they wanted designated for sewer. And we also need to designate the difference between the income and the expenses for the Oregon trip for the fire department. And I'm not real sure. I was thinking that when we asked for it to be put on the agenda, that there'd be some recommendations from staff, but there was nothing in the deal. And I know we said we were going to discuss it. I don't know if we want to go through it and try and designate tonight, or I have a listing, but I know for sure the sewer at 150,000 was designated, but it's not assigned. And the Park and Rec from last meeting, that was over budget. And then we still have the fire truck situation where I know it's in the packet here to issue debt up to $879,000, but I'm confident that we said that we were going to put the difference against that.
I think at this point, if I could interrupt, what I would invite you to do is to spend some time with me to go over the reserves that we do have scheduled, and we can have a discussion on what your thoughts are for the ones that need to be done. At this point, we're still closing the books from last year. In fact, we're still getting some of the pieces in today. I do have some very preliminary numbers for what those year-end balances might look like. And over the next couple of weeks, we'll be finishing those up.
Okay, can we set a special meeting for that, for the city council?
We can certainly do that. I mean, I would suggest we set a workshop meeting and we can go through the requirements of GASB 54, which discusses what fund balances in different categories we have available. And then we can talk about the policy that we have in place already for that, and I can show you how we do it today, and if you want to change that, because previous councils have already made a lot of decisions on whether it's for equipment or bridges or roads or
Yeah,
park
I noticed
education.
Bridges has $104,000 assigned to it, and we've just replaced 2 bridges. What, have we got 3 bridges in Cross Lake? I'm thinking that we could maybe move that around, and as long as we're discussing it, I was wondering, could we use the police forfeiture and equipment assignment to the body cameras? That's police equipment.
We already do that. And so that's why I'm saying, it'd be a really good opportunity to educate the council on what we have today and what direction you'd like to go in the future.
So let's have a special meeting and do that.
Sure, do a workshop
I'd like
meeting.
to try to get caught up too.
Yeah, because we have to review that assignment, those fund balances.
So, and that's not a closed meeting either.
No.
It's just a
No, that's
special
open.
meeting. So should we try to schedule that right now?
I think so.
It's awful cold week this week. It'd be a nice week to take care of some business. Today is Monday. Thursday, 9 a.m.
Are you ready?
I'm ready, yeah.
John, Dave, Thursday, 9 a.m.
I have a 10 o'clock, so as long as we're done by 10, I'm good.
Okay. Mr. Schrupp?
Oh,
Can't hear you.
that's not going to work, Dave.
Oh, it's
On
not?
Thursday, or is it Wednesday?
I'm okay with Thursday. And I wholeheartedly agree, because during our budgeting process, there was a lot of confusion on what money wasn't spent. And I think that as council, we need to kind of work with the department heads and make sure that we're looking at the budget and make sure that they're getting on their projects early in the year and not waiting till the end. So I would recommend that we have a meeting and then maybe in 2 months after that, follow up with another one. Because if you don't pick this up and look at the numbers on a regular basis, you forget about it. So.
Yep. Okay, so is everybody else good?
Thursday at 9? Is that what you
Thursday at
said?
9. John's got to leave at 1:45. Huh?
I'll see what I can do.
Okay, is that a motion?
I'll make it a motion
need a
that we
motion?
hold a special
Yes.
meeting for assignments and designations on Thursday at 9 o'clock.
Okay. Motion and a second. Go ahead, Char.
Dave Schrupp,
Yes.
Marcia Ziebert Bowles.
Yes,
Aaron Herzog,
Yes.
Dave Nevin.
Yes.
John Andrews.
Yes.
And Thursday gives you enough time, Char? You got to post that.
Thursday would be the first, I have to post it tonight before I leave.
Okay, where were we? Oh, Marcia, you got the next one, number 12. Summary of Administrator's Review.
okay, we don't have the first part of the meeting, the open part of the meeting minutes in the packet, but we're required by law to give a summary of the evaluation of the city administrator, Mike Linus. I presided at the meeting. It was held January 19th at 12 o'clock, and this summarizes the conclusion regarding the evaluation. The areas addressed in the evaluation were reporting, fiscal management, supervision, leadership, council relations, intergovernmental relations, community relations, and personal traits. Performance evaluations by the council members for the city administrator identified both strengths and weaknesses. The items identified previously are a summary so that the public is aware of what was covered and the rationale upon which the council based its conclusions. The council was split on its decision of the quality of the city administrator's performance. The majority of the council members conclude the performance of the city administrator is unsatisfactory and needs improvement. The other council members conclude the performance of the city administrator meets and/or exceeds expectation. The mayor provided a written evaluation.
I did not receive an evaluation from the mayor. He did not participate.
He gave the evaluation to me. I don't know whether he gave it to you or not. I'm basing it on,
I haven't seen it, and I've also requested from you to follow up on some of your questions because there are some things that need to be clarified.
I think at the time when we did the evaluation, I'm not going over the evaluation again with you.
I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking for you to listen to my responses, which you have refused to do.
And to clarify, I was actually at the review, but I was told by an attorney to not say anything, so I just withheld. I didn't say anything. There was a little bit of stuff going on before the review, and I was just told not to participate, so I didn't. So.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I think we now have violated the Data Practices Act. The number one item that's listed that's private property is personnel records and reviews.
Mr. Schrupp, I was advised by the legal counsel.
So we might have to take that up at a future meeting too, huh? Okay, well, if we have to do that, let's do that. Let's not get too buried in it tonight. Cindy, you've got a report about Winterfest?
Good evening, Cindy Mugato with the Cross Lake Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for inviting me to talk about a few things. Winterfest was a success despite the cold temperatures and the ridiculous wind chill. People were out and about. Friday night activities, we saw probably 40 people at the community center braving the cold, enjoying a bonfire, a beautiful bonfire. Thank you to the city employees for that. Sledding and skating. Many more cars arrived right around 9 o'clock to watch the really great fireworks show. So I just want to give a shout out of thanks to TJ for hosting that and braving the cold with us. Saturday afternoon, there was a lot of cars buzzing around town, taking in the deals and discounts that the businesses were offering, sampling soups at the 15 different locations that did that. I want to give a shout out to those businesses that braved the cold. Non-restaurants were asked to serve their soup outside because of face masking rules inside their businesses, so they did that very creatively. The judges chose Whitefish Senior Living at the Lakes, who had a really cool drive-through service for you. And the soup was a roasted red pepper and Gouda. Andy's restaurant served a cheeseburger soup, which won the People's Choice, and Advantage Seamless Gutters served a Reuben soup, which won the People's Choice Golden Ladle in the amateur. It was fun. We eliminated all paper. Everything was done COVID safely with protocols in place. So we eliminated all paper ballots and just used the app, the mobile, the app to vote for the favorites soup. So that worked out really well. We incorporated a new game this year called Explore the Core, which is also a mobile app-based game. People traveled around the campground and found scavenger hunt stuff and won prizes. So all in all, Winterfest was a success, despite the fact that, of course, it's COVID and it was like freezing. But the businesses thought it was a very successful event. So the next event for Cross Lake would be the parade. As you know, we've canceled that. Right now, there's a lot of confusion about why that parade was canceled. So right now, the executive order allows for a maximum gathering of 250 people in a space that allows for 6-foot distancing. And there is no end to this executive order in sight. We're hearing no chatter regarding the turning of the dial from Governor Walz at all. And we did have to jump through quite a few hoops just to pull off Winterfest. I endured a 2-hour phone call with the Attorney General's office. We had to line by line item review every single thing of our event. They wouldn't approve any of it. They just said they'll be looking for violations and we will be in trouble if,
Did you notice them here
no,
during the Winterfest?
I have not heard that. So all in all, with the scrutiny that we took just to have Winterfest, I mean, they were talking about fireworks, they were talking about the radar runs on the lake. So you can imagine that there is absolutely no way they're going to allow 20,000 people on the streets of Cross Lake in 33 days. It doesn't matter, the governor is not going to turn the dial all the way up and just put this to be a free-for-all. Typically, 33 days from today to the parade day. Typically, our volunteer committee works together for 4 to 6 months to get the parade organized. There's permits, there's parade features to arrange, there's marketing, there's advertising, just the logistics of it all. We just can't pull off the parade that we have, the caliber of parade that we host. We can't pull that off at this point. And in talking with the business community, the bars and restaurants, everybody says, well, the parade is outside. Well, if you've been here, you know that the bars and restaurants are absolutely packed on that day. And they simply do not have the personnel to be able to keep a grip on that 50% capacity limit. Their feeling is that they've come this far. It's been a year, and they've done everything they can do to keep their licensure, to keep from being fined, to keep operating. And they're just not really willing to risk it at this point. The vaccine is coming out, the numbers are going down, the test positivity rate is going down, the hospital beds are opening up. So they're just not willing to risk a one day to lose their license and get fined and all the problems that they would incorporate. So this isn't coming from the chamber, this is coming from the business community. Also recognizing that this is like one of the biggest revenue days of the year for these businesses, we are hoping to plan some shenanigans for the day, for the weekend. We met today. We've been talking with the lodging, who's called their guests, and their guests are not canceling their reservations. So they are still opting to come. It's their family, they have vacation, and they're gonna come. So we're working on some things like a citywide decorating contest. We can't have a float, we can't have a parade, but perhaps the businesses could decorate their businesses, residents can decorate their homes. We'll put you on a list, and it's like Christmas in March. You drive around and look at the lights and vote for your favorites. We're also looking at doing another electronic app-based scavenger hunt type game at the business community all over Cross Lake. So it would give those folks that are coming to the community something to do for the day. It would spur economic stimulus for the business community. So we're working on that. So as far as the business community goes, I can tell you that some have flourished, others have remained financially constant, and some have really suffered. But every single one of the businesses in town have worked harder than they've ever worked before. Jumping through the hoops over this past year has just been exhausting. You can assume businesses like grocery stores, liquor stores, real estate, of course, you all know, is doing very well. Home goods, remodeling, construction trades, they're all doing very well, frankly. Bars and restaurants are reporting that their financial statements are relatively flat, but we're lucky that most of the bars and restaurants in Cross Lake are established. They're not new. Folks that have just bought a restaurant in the last couple of years are struggling far more than the established ones are. But that being said, every person, every owner of every business, especially the bars and restaurants, are working their tails off. They're working twice as hard as they did last year and with way more stress. And they're struggling with a bunch of empathy for their employees who just aren't getting the hours and the tips, and the revenue isn't there. Businesses like salons, gyms, catering, my heart goes out to venues like Pine Peaks Wedding and Event Center. They just simply have lost revenue with no opportunity to get that back. I mean, they just lost time with their clients. Resorts were really terrified until about Memorial Day, when the kind of switch turned, that people decided that they'd rather spend their time at a resort in Cross Lake than down in the cities. So the resorts basically had a fairly good summer, considering the fear that went out early in the spring. Hotels are not faring that well, especially this winter. I know Whitefish Lodge and Suites, used to have a lot of hockey teams, fill their rooms in the winter, and that's just not happening. Weddings are not happening, so they're not getting the wedding guests that they typically see. So those folks are struggling. The chamber, of course, we've been riding the waves with everyone else. Our programs have suffered as well. We really turned our focus to initiatives like the Make the Lakes Proud. We really beefed that up back in March when, everything went sideways to promote the importance of shopping local. We're still, pounding that. We partnered with the county to bring up that Lake Country Cares, which was the distribution of branding to hopefully get people to come up here and feel safe. The 6-foot distancing, this mask, we kind of put a Paul Bunyan theme to it, stay 2 axe handles away from each other. We tried to make it happy and friendly and light, but, to get the hint that we really need to make people feel safe. The statistics were showing that people needed to feel safe to shop in our businesses. So it took a while for Cross Lake to come around, but I think, clearly we've done that. And then most recently, we did the Cuisine cash program where we sold gift certificates to the local restaurants in the Brainerd Lakes area. That totaled $171,000 in certificates that I know many of you purchased. $49,000 of that came right to the Cross Lake restaurants. 10 of them participated. So that was a check that, we sold gift certificates and sent them the money for it. So that was a nice boost for them. I talked to Tyler Glenn this morning at Bladek, and he reported to me that funding for the CARES Act resulted in the county distributing just shy of $3 million, and of that, 33 businesses received a total of approximately $308,000 in applications for that, and then another $822,000 countywide was distributed to nonprofit businesses, and of that, 7 Cross Lake businesses, nonprofit, received a total of approximately $57,000. Tyler said they're currently working on one more additional round of distributions, and that won't be wrapped up for another couple weeks. But I can tell you that all the businesses are looking forward to this being over, and they're looking forward to summer.
Thank you for the report. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Very good, Cindy. Thank you.
I have just one comment to make on that. Thank you very much for that. I know John Colstead saw similar activity, and so did Ted. We had a record year for mailbox posts and E911 signs. In fact, Aaron, you asked a question on one of the budget items. We had a payable come through that goes to last year. We had about $1,400 in new E911 signs for people that came here and stayed here permanently.
Crow Wing County has those statistics too. I don't quote me on this, but Luke Christensen said they had just a record number of new Crow Wing Power signups, and the majority of them for the whole area that they serve were Nisswa and North, so up in even north of Brainerd.
Yeah, we usually get about $500 in E911 signs, and we had $1,500 we just wrote a check for, so that was all for last year, and we expect to see more of that coming up.
Thank you, Cindy. Okay, folks, I've got one more thing, and I'm trying to decide if I should wait till Public Works or not, but I think I'm just going to bring it up here, and if we want to table it to Public Works, we can. Last week, we held road assessment hearings on 5 road projects that we're going to do in town. There was a lot of conversation about assessments, about the cost of it, the need for the roads. A lot of people say there's nothing wrong with the road, just leave them alone. So I'm going to propose this to the council that we just put a moratorium or table any road projects for this summer so that we can thoroughly look at, I think what we need to do is go and talk to the people who live on the roads and find out where the troubled areas are. A lot of things came up during the assessment hearings about problems with the roads that we were totally unaware of. So we're kind of getting the cart before the horse. I don't think there's a road in town that anybody's going to break an axle or blow a tire on. So I just want to put it to the council here if we should just calm down and take a deep breath and wait and figure out the road projects as they come. So I'm going to make that a motion, that we put all road projects for 2021 on hold. Is there a second?
Yeah, we'll second it.
Second by Herzig. Is there any more conversation about it?
Couple discussions. Right now, money's relatively cheap. We are going to need to bond for the fire truck, and being able to combine that with some road projects would potentially make a large enough bond to make it worthwhile to go out for money. Like I said, money's cheap now. My reading of listening to the assessment hearings was that the 4 road areas that we were planning to completely redo, that there was enthusiasm for those. There was no enthusiasm for the overlay up on Manhattan Point Peninsula. So one possibility, I don't know if it's feasible, would be to do the 4 reclamation roads with the fire truck, get a big enough bond that we can get a good rate on it, and certainly not do the overlay this year. So that's another option.
Could I ask a question, Mike? It's coming up, so I guess I was going to ask it then, but you were talking about the type of bond for the fire truck. And would this still work for us to do the 2 together? You see what I'm saying?
It depends on what you do. Now, if you do a smaller bond issue than what you're proposing, or if you took one area out, I think the area you're talking about, Dave, correct me here, it was about 560,000.
That was close to what Whitefish was.
Whitefish?
That's Whitefish.
Yeah, so your bond issue would be reduced by that amount. I do have some preliminary numbers for bonding I was going to talk about under my item number 3, but if you'd like to hear that now, I'll be willing to share it.
We can wait. I posed it because it was a question I had.
Yeah, just to finish my comment though, the risk that you have is your rate will likely go up because it's a smaller issue. And right now, the way the bond is structured, if we do them combined, our net effective interest rate is 0.87%, and the average life of the bonds are about just under 6 years. So it's very favorable to go ahead and do them. That'll likely change and limit your options for bonding.
I don't know that the motivation should be to go spend $1.5 million prematurely, though, so that we can get a better rating on a bond. That's my feeling about it.
Well, the purpose of doing the roads is to improve the roads, not to get a rating.
Well, I know.
And my job was to come up with the best financing package for the
Absolutely.
project.
That's a fabulous one, but I think that we got a lot of problems with the road assessments. Ted? You know, I don't know if it was Harbor or Rushmore Boulevard, but the approach to the highway and some drainage areas, and, you know, there just needs to be some discovery done on these roads for the assessments.
From the conversation from Harbor, we've talked to the county about it. That's able to be done. We're talking to the county about the sign that the residents requested, a blind intersection. They're not in favor of that, but they are going to go do and clear their right of way back to the 50-foot easement.
Are you talking Harbor Lane now?
Yeah.
On that corner?
Yes.
And is that a county road?
Well, where Harbor meets up to the
Oh, yeah, okay, the approach.
The approach there.
That's actually Rushmore, I believe.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that. My question was, when you put a moratorium, are you talking just the roads, or are you talking maintenance also?
No, I think we gotta maintain it. We gotta
Okay.
we gotta turn it back to Public Works and take a look at it. But I don't think we need to come charging out of the gate and go hurry up and try to get something going by the spring. You know, I just think we're not ready for it. And that was clear going through the assessment hearings, that we're not ready for it. We want that thing to go out and bid in February or March, not March, April, or May, and there's no way that we can get that work done in a month.
I have a question for Ted, just to follow up on Rushmore. Now, the one property you had on there, the owner's question was, well, I want to come off of the county road, but you've checked with the county. If they have a feeder road, the county requires them to come off the feeder road and not the county road?
Yes, the one that was to the west of Rushmore. They would not allow them another driveway onto the county road. They would require them to go to the city road.
ABC or something, is that? Or-
No, it would be the Rushmore, closest would be Rushmore.
Yeah.
That was the one gentleman said he would be able to come off of.
He had the letter and said that he would come out onto the county road.
Yeah.
That, they wouldn't allow that, is what they instructed me,
Right.
so.
Ted, the last question I had for you too was, didn't you bring this all the way up through Public Works, and what you're proposing was the Public Works recommendation?
Yes, this was a recommendation from Public Works, what we've agreed to so far. I just
But
was,
a lot of information came up at the assessments hearing that we never talked about in the Public Works hearings, meetings. I mean, they weren't, the approaches, there's more work that.
the approach was talked about with Dave Reese and what their designs.
Walking trail on Harbor Lane, you know, the people want a walking trail there, but
That
that
walking-
should be part of the project.
The walking trail has been discussed for a number of years. no council has moved forward on it before you. I mean, this is going back 10 years at
Trails is-
least.
Yeah, but trails is an important thing now, and it's getting more important every year. So I think instead of building a 20 or 30-year road now that locks us in, we should just pause. Nothing's gonna happen.
I don't
Pause and figure out what it is we wanna do.
Mr. Nevin, I don't disagree with you a bit. We could make it another year.
Yeah, and we could have a special public works meeting and get together, and maybe there is a couple things that we could do. But I think just to move it forward and keep moving it forward is not the smart thing to do right now.
Okay.
So that again is a motion. Mr. Andrews, apparently, I don't think I heard you support that. But does anybody else want to second that, or is it going to die? Or?
I had.
Oh, you did? Okay. So any other discussion? Tom? Come on up. Come on up.
I'm speaking as a Public Works Commission member. Is your motion to just not do the overlay or not do any of them?
Pause them all and take a look at them.
Okay.
Because we've got some new information that I think should be incorporated into the plan before we move ahead.
How long are you pausing it?
Well, I think in the next 2 weeks, we should have a public works meeting and talk about it. Bring the stuff out, decide what to do.
Okay. I know.
The assessments were a really big issue, Tom. We're not past that yet.
Okay.
And I know we all say that we're satisfied and that's what we're gonna do. I'm certainly not satisfied with it, and I don't wanna shove anything down the public's throat.
I'm not saying that.
We need to get.
What I'm worried about is we put everything another year back, and I think we're already kind of behind the 8 ball. I think we did a good job last year of all the seal coating and crack filling we did that is gonna save some of those roads because they really opened up the cracks last year. But I'm hoping, I guess if we had these 4 roads or 5 roads, whatever it was, on this year's agenda, those were the top priority roads to do. There'd be new roads coming up that we would have been looking at next year. I hope the council's prepared that if we don't do them this year, we're gonna have a bigger project next year.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to get done. Birch and Arrows, though, is supposedly a 35-year-old road. I was told it was done in 1985.
Yep.
And that road is not bad, you know? So if these other roads are 20 or 25 years road, I don't think to get a couple more years, I don't hear anybody in the public saying, fix the damn pothole over on Whitefish Avenue. You know, there just aren't. The roads are not bad.
I would offer one other comment up to the council is, on the assessments that, as they stand right now, I think you were looking at about 41% of the project cost to be assessed. Now, the bonding documents I was prepared to discuss with you tonight had 2 options. One was the minimum assessment for a combined issue at 20% and a related payment stream along with a 30% assessment. So there is an opportunity to reduce the assessments from 41% to somewhere closer to 20, and that would make a substantial difference for a lot of
It
property
is,
owners.
but my problem with it is we keep talking.
I understand your problem with
Yeah, we
it.
got
I really do.
We have the assessment. We don't have the assessment. It's not set. And every time we throw it out there, it comes back and hits us in the head, you know?
Well, no,
So-
it wasn't set, but what I'm saying is you do have the option to lower it, and it may be more palatable, and it can keep you on track, the city on track with the road projects. That's an option too.
My point is just that there's a capital plan out there that these roads were planned for 2021. There's roads planned for 2022. And are we kicking everything back a year, or the council needs to be prepared next year? Hopefully interest rates are still favorable, but you know, if we've done the majority of the engineering on these 5 roads already.
I don't think we have done a majority of the engineering. That's where my problem is, because there's a lot of problems that came up that we had no answers for.
Okay.
And Mr. Reese, I mean, we didn't have any answers from, right? We haven't looked into them. Sure, absolutely. But I wasn't satisfied, and I don't know, I mean, the public was here, and they didn't seem satisfied with them either, so I just don't want to rush into something.
The process that was followed included a feasibility study that was consistent with prior years' assessment projects and with city policies. The one that was different this year was assessing the overlays on Whitefish. And the gathering of information from the residents, this discovery that you're mentioning, is what the purpose of the hearings is for. We don't always know everybody's personal concerns or issues. That's why we have public improvement hearings, so that we can get that input. And then we address those concerns during the design phase. That's the way it normally occurs on every project.
That has the way it's been. I am uncomfortable with that. I think that the people who live on the road should be approached early on. Get them on board. What do we need to do? And that can be part of the feasibility study. Now, I agree with you, we haven't done that in the past. But I think, working with the Public Works, I think we should do that, get them more involved earlier in the future, so that they're more on board and they warm up to it and they're doing it. On the time frame we have now, we're approving the middle of February. We want to get the plans done and get it out to bid in March. All these people are gone. They're all in Florida. There's not many people here. And I just don't want to be a part of shoving that down their throat. And I feel like that's what we're indirectly doing, because it always has been policy. But I can't help but share my feeling about it, and I don't really want to do that.
Most of the comments that I did get from people that called or emailed were, there were some questions about the scope of the project and some interest in that. But most of the comments in regards to the peninsula were, why are we being assessed for an overlay when, Manhattan Point Boulevard wasn't assessed?
Yeah, and we didn't think Manhattan Point and Anchor Point Road through very well when we did that.
Well, that was a decision that was made. And since that time, a new decision was made to assess the overlays.
Yeah.
And so that's the way it proceeded.
But we need to put that to the people, have them come up and help us with a fair way to do it, because it's not fair. And I don't want to be part of shoving it down their throat. So that's why I think it's important. And we could call a Public Works meeting tomorrow. I don't care. I don't want to kick it down the road if we don't have to. But there are some things that we have to look into. I mean, that's we got a council here. They can shut me down in a second,
I think what Mike was alluding to is there's an option that you've got this range that you're allowed to assess that's in excess of 20%.
But so are we going to take 5 minutes and make that decision? I don't think we should.
I think you should be aware of what your options are.
Oh, I'm well aware of that, yeah.
So that even if you didn't assess Whitefish for the overlays and you made that decision this year, you could proceed with the project and you'd still be lawfully bonding for these improvements.
Well,
so you're saying we could take the bond and we could do it, if it came to that, we could do it out into 2022?
You could decide not to assess the overlays.
I think what you said, Aaron, is you could bond for it this year and not do the projects till next year. Is that what you said?
That's what I was asking Dave.
Yeah.
I think what I'm hearing is the fear of assessments, period. What if we just not assess anybody for roads? Would that make your decision easier? Because I know Public Works has worked hard on this.
I know they have, Dave. I know they have.
So if we just didn't assess, maybe we made a mistake by moving down for assessing roads. And then just spread the cost of the road assessments over every taxpayer in town.
So are we going to make that decision tonight that we're not going to assess anybody and we're going to move forward for the next 10 years and do all the roads? I mean, I don't want to do that quickly. I understand what you're saying. But
can I talk a little bit?
Sure.
We had quite a few residents that were for this, especially on the full total reclaim. And then on Whitefish Avenue, we had a dozen people that were there. I think we had one that said he was in agreement with it. I understand that they're concerned about the $1,000 that they would get charged. But I always look to the engineers, and if the road is 20 years old, it's drying out. And I think a lot of people that come up here that pay a lot of taxes kind of expect us to take care of the roads up here. And I'm kind of behind Tom Swenson that we've tried a couple years, 3 years to do a plan. And I just don't like kicking it down the road. But it seems to me that the fear that I'm seeing is in an assessment program. Now, when we got away with doing Whitefish and Anchor Point, we did not, Anchor Point Road and then Manhattan Beach Road, excuse me, we did not assess. I don't recall getting phone calls from people about their taxes, but somehow we managed to work it into that. So, I believe in the maintenance and following what the engineers recommend. Maybe we just went down the road with assessments, but it's something we have to decide quickly or we're going to miss the boat here on getting bids. That's kind of, I'm kind of behind John. But after I think about it, we've had trouble for 2 years with assessments for roads. People get gun shy on the council.
I don't know that we're totally done with them on sewers either, but the assessment.
Well, that's a little more of a direct benefit that some people in the city will never see.
Yeah.
Whereas we had comments from Whitefish Avenue where they just didn't understand why it was maintenance, and that is a question that is very hard to answer.
Well, I would like to pause it, maybe not moratorium, maybe not put it off for a year. I'd like to pause it and look into it a little bit, look at some options.
Put a time frame on that, Dave.
Well, I'd go to a public works meeting. What is tomorrow, Tuesday? I'd go tomorrow. Is there anything else?
Why don't you do it Thursday after your meeting?
I don't know that the public works people are going to tell you anything different than they told you before.
What is our special council meeting?
It's Thursday at 9.
Thursday.
Oh, it's at 2?
2. Yes. Why don't we put it on the agenda?
And I would like everybody to think about that because I do think that's the issue.
Yeah.
Let me comment. My personal opinion is that the city of Cross Lake should pay for all the roads into Story. However, that you can't do that if you start off and say, we're going to cut our budget this year. But I think for roads specifically, we all use the roads. It would get rid of all this issues of people paying. It would just be in everybody's taxes, which is what we've been doing. Thanks.
I agree with what John said. That's what I was saying.
So just for the council's information, what we had done quite a few years ago is we had come forth with a plan on how to fund the roads to do just what you're suggesting. And what we found was we weren't able to raise enough money fast enough to keep up with maintaining the roads. So the idea we had was we would use a combination of cash and debt to get us to the place we needed to be, and it would take us probably 7 to 12 years of consistent policy to do that, at which point you would be levying an appropriate amount each year so you could pay cash for all your roads. So the idea was that in some years you would not do a road, and in some years you would do a road, and eventually you'd get yourself through the budgeting process where you would be setting an appropriate amount of money aside each year to be able to support that, knowing full well that if you had a very large project that was, resident driven at that time, then you would consider an assessment, but you would do what made sense over the long term. The reality of it is what's happened is what we're experiencing now, is staff spends a lot of time, money, and effort, whether it's with Phil's firm or Dave's firm, Ted, Public Works, and they come up with a road plan. They come up with a very good plan, they bring it forward, and we get to this point, and then we stop. And so what happens is any money that we've generated through the process, because we build into the budget some cash, some debt, to be paid back by special assessments. And so the way we're able to pay for the roads in the past, when we changed this, is we were in a situation where we saw our fund balance growing. And we said, what are we spending that money on? And so staff came back and said, if you want to do this road or this project, we have the ability to pay cash for it. And we did. Well, now that's changed because we haven't had a consistent plan and we keep changing our mind. So you'll continue to have this problem until you decide what you want to do. So at some point, you're going to have to spend the money to fix it. So if you don't want to do this year, you'll probably have to do it next year, and you'll keep getting further and further behind. So I would encourage the council to set a policy and follow it consistently with this, so that not only this council, but future councils don't have to wrestle with this every year. Saying, here's our road plan, and these are the roads we're going to do, and we do them, and it's just easy.
Mike, I
So whether
totally
it's through levy or taxes, or however you want to do it, but the point is, when you change it every year, it creates a lot of problems.
I get it. I totally agree with you. And unfortunately, if I wasn't so stubborn, we'd have it agreed on, we'd be building roads, but I'm stubborn, and I can't give in to the policy that we have now. And I check around with people, and I bounce it around, and they agree with me, so I don't think we're there. And unfortunately, there's one of me with a big mouth that keeps stopping things, but.
How would you like to change the policy then?
Well,
I don't want to kick this down the road.
easily, it should be, if you got $4,000 for a road project on a new construction that you'll get 25 years out of, and an overlay that you'll get 15 years out of, I don't know why you wouldn't go to $2,000 for that assessment. It's 50%. The assessment right now is $1,000. $1,000 either way isn't gonna hurt anything, but it just makes no sense in my mind why you'd get half of the product for a fourth of the money. I don't know, I'm not a genius, but it just seems to me that at $2,000, that would help it a little bit. And the other thing is, if we could overlay more of these roads, the price of it is 30% of a reconstruct job, and we get 15 or 20 years out of it. And this isn't the first time I've said that, and I don't know why, in this world of COVID, in this world of building this new building, doing the fire hall, we're, buying a ladder truck, we're spending money like we're drunk sailors. If we can get 15 years down the road and spend 30% of the money, I think that's what we should do. And if that's kicking it down the road, then that's kicking it down the road.
Dave, can I get you to
Settle me
take a
down,
breath?
I'm just getting wound up.
Okay. Well, I take a breath, Dave. Thursday, can we add that to the agenda and we'll hash it out there? Because I think right now, tonight, we're just going to go in circles.
Yeah, I'd like to do it sooner than later.
This motion will just die, we'll take it to Thursday, okay?
I would agree to that.
Are you okay with that, Marcia?
I mean, that makes sense, Aaron.
Okay.
But I don't have a problem with some of the public hearing this, and I would like to hear from them to see which direction to go in.
Thursday's an open meeting. They're welcome to come.
But even if you can't come to a meeting, call me up or call up one of us and tell us what you think.
Up on the thing, okay?
We're having a hard time with it. Okay, let's move on. Mr. Lannis, I believe it's your turn.
All right, under item E1 of my report, there's an ordinance amending Chapter 2 related to administration, Article 6, boards and commissions. So this one is talking about the change of the makeup of the Personnel Committee and having the ordinance match up with that intent. So it's made up of a 3-person commission, shall consist of the mayor, 1 council member, and the city administrator.
So we need a motion to approve that.
Didn't we already approve that?
No.
You approved that, but we did not approve the ordinance. So this is approving the ordinance to make that change.
Okay, so we got a motion by Herzig.
Second by Andrews.
Marcia Ziebert Rolls.
Yes.
Aaron Herzog.
Yes.
Dave Nevin.
Yes.
John Andrews.
Yes.
Dave Schrupp.
Yes.
All right, item E2. Now, this is a healthcare savings plan, change to the contributions. The way this works is exempt employees, meaning non-hourly employees, are requesting a change in the amount that is deducted from our paycheck and deposit into a healthcare savings plan. Right now, we take 3% of our pay, whatever that is, and we defer it and put it into a healthcare savings plan so that when we're retired, hopefully, at some point, we can use that money to pay for health insurance premiums or health care costs. It's, because it's a city-sponsored plan, we need the council approval to change the deferral rate for the staff.
But it doesn't cost the city any.
There's no cost to the city at all. However, we have to have council approval to make that change.
I'll just make a comment on it. I did that when I worked, and I'm into my 11th year of paying for my health insurance out of it, and it's going to end this year, but 11 years of health insurance and stuff is a pretty good run. I think it's a very good idea for you guys.
It is, and staff are in full agreement with that, so we're just requesting approval to increase that percentage.
I move we approve it.
And I second it.
Dave Schrupp,
Yes.
Marcia Ziebert-Vols,
Yes.
Aaron Herzog,
Yes.
Dave Nevin,
Yes.
John Andrews.
Yes.
Thank you on behalf of all staff participating in that plan. Item 3 is a resolution establishing procedures related to compliance with bond requirements under the current Internal Revenue Code. What this is, it's a very long resolution. It's called a reimbursement resolution, and we're getting close to be needing to make a payment on the fire truck. Correct, Chip? Probably sometime later this month or in March. Now, as we're trying to sort out what we do with bonding for roads, whether we do roads or not, we're not going to be able to have the bonds in place by the time we need to make a payment on the truck. So what this does is it authorizes the city to issue reimbursement bonds up to the amount of the full price of the truck. Now, we all know we're not going to do that because at some point we're going to have a number on how much we expect to get reimbursed from the Oregon fires. So once we know that, we would propose to come back to you and say, thank you, council, for giving us a reimbursement resolution prior to us spending that money and being able to issue bonds to replace that. But we know full well that we want to reduce that by any money we get once that's known.
Is there a life on this temporary one?
It's usually 6 months. We need to pass the resolution within 6 months of writing a check for the equipment.
I think we should table action on it until we know what the dollar amount is.
I would not advise doing that. You can condition the motion on it would be adjusted by the estimated proceeds of that, and we can probably come up with a number on that.
Don't you think you'll know by next month? Is that going to make a difference if you wait till next month to pass this resolution?
It might. It might. I'm sorry, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. Why would it matter a month?
Could you come up here with your question, please? State your name and address.
Yeah. My name is Doreen Galloway, and I live on Johnny Street in Cross Lake, and I want to know why. Why can't it wait a month? I mean, I didn't even know we were buying a fire truck until tonight. Well, until yesterday, actually. So, and I've lived here for 27 years, and I was on the committee to build this beautiful building.
Well, I can't
And I don't understand why we're getting a fire truck and why it can't wait a month.
I can't speak to your knowledge on why you don't know about the fire truck, but I can speak to why it makes a difference to wait.
Okay.
It makes a difference to wait because of the interest rate on the fire truck and what term we would receive for funding. So it does make a difference.
Mm-hmm. What's the swing?
I can't speak to that. I don't know what the rate will be in 6 months.
What would it be in a month?
We're not talking 6 months.
What would it be in a month or
We
6
could be.
weeks?
We could be talking, we don't know what we're talking because what we're trying to do is to do a combined issue with the road projects potentially and the fire truck. And so once we know that, I'll be able to answer that question. All right?
Thank you, Doreen.
Thank you.
So did you requested, what, $75,000 for the Oregon expenses?
I don't recall that exact amount. Now, Chip just got called out on an account. And what I would recommend your motion be that you would pass this resolution and however you want to say the verbiage, it'll be reduced by the net impact of the proceeds from the Oregon trip.
When do we get the truck? Do you know when it's delivered, scheduled?
And again, Chip just left. He would have the information on that. We're looking at probably the end of this month, sometime in March maybe.
Right around the corner.
Yep. But again, once we know the answer to bonding on the road projects, we have very favorable rates right now. I can answer Ms. Galloway's question.
But if, for instance, say we don't do the road projects, then we've now done 879,000 versus probably 829,000 for that resolution.
For
Same,
6 months, and then we'd have to write
50,000.
it.
No, the requirement is you've got up to roughly 6 months to,
To drop it?
no. If we have to come back and write a check in a week for the truck, and you don't have this in place, it's not eligible to be reimbursed with bond proceeds. What this does is gives you the ability to reimburse yourself with future bond proceeds when they're issued.
So if we did it next month, we wouldn't be eligible.
If you wrote a check today to pay for the truck and then said, oh, I want to go reimburse myself, you wouldn't be able to do it because you don't have a resolution.
I would assume you'd have 30 days to pay.
I don't assume anything.
Well,
But what
neither do I, so-
I'm just trying to get you to understand that just because you pass the resolution doesn't mean you're going to issue the bonds. It authorizes you to reimburse yourself if you so choose, all right?
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. But I also get that it'd be nice to know where we're at with it, but I think we should do it, and just so they're able to write the check when the truck comes in. Or we could wait and have another special meeting. We got plenty of days left.
Let's move forward, please.
Make a motion that we pass the resolution establishing procedures relating to compliance with reimbursement bond regulations under the Internal Revenue Code for the fire truck.
Second.
I'll second that.
Okay, Herzig second.
I don't know.
Marcia Ziebert Bowles.
No.
Aaron Herzog.
Yes.
Dave Nevin.
Yep.
John Andrews.
Yes.
Dave Schrupp.
Yes.
4-1.
All right, transportation and alternative solicitation update. Now, included in your packet is some selected information, some really nice pictures, thanks to Dave Reese's firm and the county engineer. We did this last year, remember, we asked for some money for sidewalks. So I'm just giving you an update on where we're at with that process. Earlier, last year, we had applied for transportation funding. So what I've included in your packet, what we're looking at is we're estimating about $1 million project, and we're requesting that $561,000 of that be funded through a grant for 2025. Now, the reason you're seeing this again is because on February 3rd of this month, I had the opportunity to present this information to Region 5. And that was over, we did it through a Zoom meeting, and there were two other projects. One was up by Walker, and one was down by Royalton. There were only 3 projects this time. If you remember last year when we did that, there were 8 projects, I believe, and we came in number 2. We came in number 2 again, second year in a row. So you say, well, why didn't you come in first? Well, don't know, but I hear the vote was very, very close on that. We were within 2 votes of being number 1, is what I'm told. The reason of the Region 5 meeting is what they do is they rank each project, and you can receive up to 10 points, or 5 points, or no points. So the top 2 grant applications receive what's called preference points from the region. At that point, those applications get moved forward and are looked at by MnDOT, and they go into a larger pool, and they use those preference points to either say, well, this project had more total points, and we're going to push this one forward for funding or not. So we still feel we have a very good chance. We have a very competitive grant, and we still believe we'll get some funding for it. We just don't know how much or at what level. So at this point, we'll know probably at the end of this month how our project may or may not proceed. So this is just to get it in front of you again, say here's what you asked us to go do. This is the stage we're at. We're still in the running. And if you'd like to see the complete presentation I gave to the region, I'd be happy to share it with you, make it available, and we also have the complete grant application too. So
This is like 2025 scheduled
for 2025. And the reason I keep bringing it in front of you is because when we do our budget, if we get funded for this, or for whatever amount, you can decide at that time whether or not you want to work with the county and pick up the difference under their current cost share plan. And remember, the county would sponsor us on this, and there would be a cost share arrangement between the county and the city to move forward, and this is for the sidewalks going across basically from the senior center all the way up to Crafts and Cones around that curve. And there'd be improved crosswalks and designated sidewalks where people wouldn't, be afraid to walk
Yeah.
on the side of the road. So we're trying to get people off the road and onto a sidewalk.
I appreciate you staying on top of it.
Okay, so that's for your information. The next item I have is I heard back from the legislature today on our sales tax. I'm not real confident that our proposal will go through, but the direction was given to try anyways for the sales tax. The state it's in right now, or the status of it, is I heard back from Dale Lewick's office, and he is taking the lead on that to get that through the Office of the Reviser to actually write the bill and get it introduced. And he'll share that information on the Senate side with Carrie Ruud, and she'll do the same thing for us. So at some point, when the bill is introduced and the tax committee says, yeah, we're going to consider sales tax, then we'll probably be asked on short notice to come down and say, why should we fund you? I know Dave, you, John, and myself went down and did that a year ago. We were able to testify at the preliminary hearing at the House, but then we got tied up with COVID and everything just stopped at that point. So because a year had passed, we had to start over. So we just rebooted the projects we had, updated the dates, and said, let's get it in the system. All right? So if I have new information on that, I'll be sure to get it out. The last item I have is an update on our annual audit. We'll be going through the annual audit process the first half of March, and we're trying to pull everything together to make that a successful, it'll probably be a virtual team type audit through Zoom or Teams. So that'll be interesting to see how that works, but we'll get it done. All right, so any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Mike.
All right?
Okay. EDA, who's going to do that? Patty? All right. Haven't seen you for a while.
No, it's been too cold. Thank you, Councilman. Patty Norgard, representing Economic Development. And in your packet, there was a resolution for telecommuter forward and also some additional information. And so I'm not going to go through this because I'm going to assume that you all have read the resolution and understand it. However, I would just like to give you a brief, and you'll have to tell me how this works. How about like this? I'll hold it up. Can you see it? Oh, there you can see it. Oh, thank you. So anyway, why would we want to do this? Well, some of the benefits to the city is that because of COVID, we happen to become a model for telecommuter forward this summer. And because we know that there were a lot more people up here using the internet services of Cross Lake Communication. And so the Department of Education and Economics put the resolution together, and in their supporting data, they found that telecommuter forward attracts new and retains families and businesses in Minnesota. It allows communities to showcase broadband access and telecommuting options. It builds a stronger economy in the rural areas of Minnesota of Cross Lake, and I think we definitely saw that this year. And in fact, Cross Lake Communications increased 15% over the past year in new business or expanding their broadband services. And then this resolution also allows Cross Lake Communications to market telecommuter forward through press and media, and it creates another avenue for marketing Cross Lake as a great place to live or a fantastic way of life. And so if you have any questions, you can direct them to me.
You sound like you're working for Cross Lake Communication.
I'm doing this on behalf of Cross Lake Communications. They asked me if I would come and do this.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, unless they pay me and I don't know about it, so. So anyway, as soon as that resolution is signed, then I will pick it up and bring it over to Cross Lake, or Debbie will pick it up, and then it'll be sent to the state of Minnesota for their approval.
What does the resolution look like?
It's in the packet, so if you go online, I can read it through. It's long.
What are they asking us for though, Patty, in the resolution?
We're becoming a designated telecommuter city.
Patty, just set it on front
Sure.
so you can see.
All right, but it's not asking for anything, just,
No,
No.
do we get a plaque at the beginning of town or something, or?
We'll attach it to the sign to, so do you want me to read this, or can I just? Okay, you guys can read it. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Can you read it? I'll read it to you. Whereas the City of Cross Lake supports and commits to promote the availability of telecommuting options. Whereas the City of Cross Lake hereby appoints Michael R. Lioness as the single point of contact for coordinating telecommuting opportunities within the City of Cross Lake, including the following responsibilities. Now, here's your $1 million job, Mike. 1, coordination and partnership with broadband providers, realtors, economic development, professionals, employees, and other telecommuting stakeholders. Collaboration with broadband providers and employers to identify, develop, and market telecommuter capabilities and broadband packages. Communication and partnership with broadband providers and economic development professionals to develop common goals. Promotion of telecommuter-friendly workspaces, such as business incubators with telecommuting spaces, if such a workspace has been established in the political subdivision at the time the political subdivision adopts the resolution. And I would like to make a comment on this because Cross Lake Communications does have separate little offices where people who need internet services, copying, conference room availability, they have spaces that are set up just for that. Familiarity with broadband mapping tools and other state level resources, maintaining regular communication with the state broadband office, and making regular reports to the Cross Lake City Council. So this is what Cross Lake Communications will help us through in developing basically their expansion of business.
But it sounds to me like the city is authorizing Mike Lioness to spend X amount of hours, and it kind of sounds like it potentially could be a lot.
No, it says making reports to the, oh, I see what you're saying. No, when I talked to, Josh Netland and I have been talking about this for a long time, and he will really be the point person on this. However, they do need a city designate.
Well, I guess the only thing I'd ask Mike is if you get buried in hours in that thing, let us know.
Well, I told him it was $1 million job.
I'll take the $1 million, then I'll tell you it's too much.
All right, I think
Thank
she
you,
needs a
Patty.
motion to approve.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the resolution for telecommuter forward.
I second it.
Motion and a second. Thank you, Patty.
Yep, you're welcome. Thank you.
Yep. Go ahead, Chair.
Marcia Ziebert-Bowles,
Yes.
Aaron Herzog,
Yes.
Dave Nevin.
Yes.
John Andrews.
Yes.
Dave Schrupp.
Yes.
Eric, you're up.
This is just basically regarding renewing the Mission contract for Mission Township. Last year at their budget meeting, I suggested a 3%, and a 2.5% increase over the next 3 years. It's a 3-year budget. So where we've gone from 3 years ago when I started, we were at 48,000 or 49,000 a year. And it was that way for about 8-9 years. It had stayed that. So we started, I told them, you're gonna start seeing an increase. And they all agreed to it. So, and Mr. Lyonnaise and I talked about the increase. So we've increased it basically from $38 an hour till 47, I think, right
It's
now.
increasing about 3% a year now.
Yep. Well, we initially, in 19, I looked at them, or 18, I looked at them and said, you know what, we gotta increase it 5,000. I said, we can't just keep giving you this, you know, for that price. And then we agreed to another 3% in 20. And now we're in 2021 where we have to renew it. So 3, and 2.5.
Well, we're losing money at 3%. The city is. It costs more than that to do it.
Does it cover the cost?
Not at 3%, it doesn't. No.
It's, yeah, it's, well, honestly, we've never really covered the costs.
No, we haven't, I know. And
So-
so to keep going backwards is not a policy we should do. If they don't need the service or they can provide it to themselves for less money, we should let them do it.
Okay,
But I don't
it's
mean
been
that
a great 25 years. We've been,
I know, but it costs us a lot of money, and it costs us squads, and it costs us all kinds of stuff, Eric. And we don't need to make a ton of money on it, but we need to at least break even or stick our nose out of the water a little bit.
right. And understand also that this is on-duty hours, so when the officer is down there, this isn't additional hours. So next year, we'll be bringing in almost $58,000 with the contract. That is still money that's going to be coming out of our budget, because the officers will still be out on the street doing the same job. So we're not, we got to come up with that money then, the city does.
Well, sure, yeah. But
Okay.
if you look at what your budget is every year, and
Yep.
are you at
No, I
like
understand.
23% spending time down a mission, something?
Yeah, 24 hours a week.
Well, whatever it is, I mean, you could figure out how to do the math on it, but
Yep.
it's more than 50,000 bucks. Or I would just caution you to be careful on that and err on the side of,
And that's why, I mean,
err high if nothing else.
and I have.
We have got to
And-
quit being the hub for everybody in this region, you know.
Right.
They got to pay for it.
Yep, I agree.
I'd like to see the costs down on paper, exactly what it costs us.
Well, if it's
I
24 hours
suppose
a
we
week.
could come up with something. I'm not,
I mean, I'm talking gas and
Yeah,
car
tires,
usage,
squads, mileage, but I mean, we kind of rely on you to do that,
yep,
but we need you to do it representing the city and their interest, not in mission and their interest.
Right.
So I might be talking way wrong here, I don't think I am. I think for the service that they get, they're getting a good deal on it.
yep,
So
So
I'd just like you to take a look at it through those eyes.
okay. How do you want me to proceed?
I would do the math on it and see what it costs us to be down there.
I'd like you to provide the city council
I mean,
with
we
the
should have done
report.
that years ago. And then you
Yep.
adjusted the cost of living, you know, it's, I mean, you guys were the cost of living is at least 3% a year. So to give them a 2.5% increase is going backwards. Now, I get it, that's 2 years out, but we should be at, we're charging 1% above our interest when we finance an assessment. So we're making money on that, but we shouldn't break even sending our cars down the highway to do it. And I don't know what the number is, that's why I'm asking you to do it.
Okay.
You guys to figure out what that costs us.
Mike and I will work together, and we'll figure that out.
I mean, it only
So-
makes sense.
Sure, well, the good news is we're getting close to where we need to be, and we're working towards that.
Right.
two questions, if I could, Eric.
Sure.
Is there any other language changes in that contract?
No.
Okay. If you end up with more than 24 hours out there, something happens and you end up,
We work it out.
okay.
Eric, I've got just a curious question, because on your report, you showed one burglary in Cross Lake last month. And nothing in Mission. But I called you.
No, there was a burglary in Mission.
Well, it wasn't on your report. And I called you one time last
there
month.
was one.
and you
Oh,
said-
no. I'm sorry, there's burglary, it has not been reported to us yet. We found an object that is most likely
You
associated with
just
another
told me you were
burglary.
working a burglary in Mission.
Yes.
But I didn't see it.
I
on
was
the
with the
report.
county, we were working together. There's a found property there
Okay.
And that led us to another burglary.
I just
And we
didn't
just
see
haven't
it on
found.
the report. And-
Yeah, I can't report it if it hasn't been reported to me.
Okay.
If there's no complaint for the chainsaw that we found in the ditch,
Okay.
I can't call it anything. I don't know where it came from.
I wasn't going crazy anyway. Okay.
Okay?
Thanks. I would just ask you for the cities, you know, to look into their best interest, and that's what we need to do all the time, you know? So, thank you. Public Works. Ted, you got anything?
I think we're moving ours to later in the week.
Oh, okay. So we'll pick that up, and I
Thursday.
encourage anybody to come.
Were you going to approve the contracts or not?
Not gonna come-
Oh,
What is that?
The contract permission?
Yeah, no, I think we should finish that. Yeah, we didn't finish it, so let's approve
I
it.
thought we were gonna find out what it
Unless we
actually
table it
costs.
until you come back. Yeah, well,
I think we should table it.
yeah, let's table it and see if we can make those numbers more.
When does it start? What's the date of the contract?
May 1st.
You know, we could approve just 1 year, subject to review.
We can approve it on April 25th.
Oh, so we do have time.
Yeah, we got at least 2 months.
Yeah.
30-day notice if we're not going to continue.
Well, we got 2.5 months right now.
no,
So
we
we've
don't.
got a month and a half until we have to give them notice. Is that not true?
No, they need 90 days.
That's if we're gonna terminate. I don't think we're
Yeah,
terminating.
we're not gonna
I think
terminate.
we're
That's
just
not our
looking at the
purpose, but we
cost.
just want to legitimize the number that we're charging them.
Right.
We can approve the contract with funding, with
I
reimbursement
think
to
we should
be,
just table it.
Well, we could,
Decided.
or we could just wait for a few weeks and see if they could come up with something and renegotiate it, whatever.
the answer is no.
We just have a tendency of approving something and then it disappears and we forget about it, so. If we haven't approved it, it'll come back and,
Okay.
so I would wait. Okay, and, Ted, you're gonna wait on your stuff, huh? We got letters, I don't know, were the letters in support of or in opposition to?
Both ways, sir.
Okay. I don't know if we wanna share them?
Look at that on Thursday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah. To bring those with you, Ted, on Thursday?
Yes, sir.
Park and Rec, TJ, are you here?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Tonight I have 3 items for you. 4A is a site use agreement with LSS Meals. This is considered standard every year, so they can operate out of our facility to prepare meals for senior meals.
I'll make a motion to approve that site use agreement for 2021 with LSS.
Second.
John Andrews,
Yes.
Dave Schrupp,
Yes.
Marcia Ziebert-Bowles,
Yes,
Aaron Herzog,
Yes.
Dave Nevin.
Yes.
Item 4B is a request to trade in our 2010 John Deere 3720 and purchase a Kubota L4060 HSTC. Our current tractor was handed down to us by Public Works. It has 2,600 engine hours on it.
Is that the only tractor you have, TJ?
Correct.
I'll make a motion to approve the request to replace the tractor loader as budgeted in the 2021 budget.
I'll second it.
Aaron Herzog,
Yes.
Dave Nevin,
Yep.
John Andrews,
Yes.
Dave Schrupp,
Yes.
Marcia Ziebert-Bowles.
Yes,
Is that front blower capable of moving enough snow to take care of walkways? Because I think that's coming back.
Well, it's a pretty big snow blower. I can't guarantee how much it can snow blow, but it's a pretty substantial sized snow blower. It's bigger than what we have now.
Are you just trading that in now? It's gone, traded in?
Yep, getting rid of it.
They've given you a quote for it? And that's
Yep,
applied?
that's right in that, request.
Okay,
And
Thank
the
you, TJ.
last item here is a service contract with Kichigami. This is funds that we get from Crow Wing County to purchase books in the library. So it's just a service contract for 2021.
I don't know why I don't see that in here, TJ.
Should be in the additions.
The last page.
All right, anyway. Motion to approve?
So moved.
It's standard.
It's done.
Standard procedure for every year. Yep.
Okay, we got a
Removed.
motion, and do we have a second?
Yes. Second.
Dave Nevin,
Yes.
John Andrews.
Yes.
Dave Schrupp,
Yes?
Marcia Zeber Bowles.
Yes.
Aaron Herzog.
Yes.
That's all I
Thank
have.
you, TJ.
Thank you.
Thank you, TJ.
Public forum, no action will be taken on any issues raised. If appropriate, they shall be placed on agenda, or whatever the new wordage is. Come on up if you got something to say. I think we changed that a little bit. Anybody want to come up for public forum? Mr. Wessel, come on up.
Mark Wessels, 1333 East Shore Road, Cross Lake. I'm not going to be able to come to the Public Works meeting, but last spring I came down to City Hall when it was still over there with about this long of that rubberized crack sealing stuff. I'm not sure how many state senators own stock in the company that sells that crap to these cities, but it's dangerous. It's greasy. If you're on a motorcycle or a two-wheel bicycle, that stuff is like, it's like you're riding on grease or like you're riding on ice. It's a terrible product. On my road, East Shore Road, we'd used that product, and I'm not faulting the Public Works for it. They get sold this stuff that this is the best way to do it and this is how we'll do it and stuff, but they put it on about a year ago, and first garbage truck stopped to pick up my garbage. When he rolled ahead, the stuff that his wheel was on rolled with it, so away that went. That was only on there for a couple weeks. And then, of course, last spring when for the last snowfall or whatever it was, I don't remember, it was a late plowing session, but it was sometime in March, and I brought it in for Mike and for Shar, a string of that tar about this long. My road was, most of it, I would say probably 75% of it came off. It was laying in the ditch or on the road. It was all over the place, but it wasn't on the road sealing up any cracks. And so we're talking about road maintenance and road replacements. I was on the commission when we talked about you build a road, you get assessed for it. When it's maintenance, it's up to the city to maintain it properly so that you don't get assessed for it sooner than 25 or 30 years. And so I think and again, I'm not faulting the Public Works Commission on this. I'd like to hear something from some engineers that maybe have better ideas or better ways to maintain these roads than putting that stuff. First off, it's dangerous when I'm on my motorcycle with that, and you talk to anybody that rides a motorcycle and they'll tell you that stuff. They're white knuckling it when they're going down roads, especially around curves with that stuff. Get rid of that stuff, maintain the roads better. If you're repairing roads, that should be a city expense. We talked about, when I was on the council, if you added something like a walkway or bike path or something like that, then you could assess them because you're making an improvement to the road, not just repair. So I don't know where you're at with that stuff, but I won't be able to make the Public Works meeting, so I just wanted to make those comments of record and for whatever they're worth. Thank you.
Mark.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Oh, boy.
Yeah.
God, I knew I missed my opportunity there.
You know me. All right, Doreen Galloway, and I live on Johnny Street in Cross Lake, and I would like the council, first of all, to change your, thank you for running for office. I voted for you, Marcia, I'm proud of you. Change it to where you don't have to say your address, because there's a lot of fear in this room. I've noticed over the last year, you're afraid of each other and you're afraid of your neighborhood. And why are we letting people say their number for their address? Why can't we just tell them their street? So I won't give you the number for my address. If you want to know it, look it up. It's on the rolls over there in the office. So that's where I want to start.
Briefer description, okay?
Yeah, let's change the description of that you just live in Cross Lake. We don't want to know where you live. We just want to know what road you live on. I live on Johnny Street. I've lived there for 27 years. The reason I moved to Cross Lake was because it was as far away from the Pequot school as I could get and still get my kids on a school bus. That's why I chose Cross Lake. It's a beautiful community. I have been pro-Cross Lake the whole 27 years that I've lived here. I've been involved in the chamber most of those years until about a year ago. I was involved at the Lions Club. I'm still a Lions member of this Lions Club. And I'm very proud of the work that they do in our community. But the reason I decided to come to this meeting tonight, and I had a lot more I was going to share with y'all, but this last year, when China attacked the world with the virus that scared the hell out of everybody, it was one of the craziest things I've ever been witness to in my life. Except for me being in Cross Lake, being in quarantine for 3 or 4 months was one of the biggest eye-openers of my life. It allowed me to sit back and assess where I was, where I lived, the kind of people I lived with in my community, and the kind of community I was living in. And I don't like what I see in our city. I don't like the fact that I come to a city council meeting and I can tell that you aren't communicating with each other, you aren't working together. You're not doing what we elected y'all up there to do. Why? I would like y'all to work on that. Why? I listened to this meeting tonight and some of the stuff that came up, it's really hard to sit. When I'm at home, I can't even have it on. Do you ever watch yourselves? Do you ever listen to yourselves? Have you watched yourself, your body language, communicate with each other? I have watched this man be attacked since the day he took his office. And the only reason I can, and because we watched it happen to our president, Trump, not the one that's sitting in the White House, the one that's not a valid president, the valid president, both sides attacked him too. And you know what we learned through this year of COVID? It's because he was doing something right.
Okay, Doreen, let's cut this a little short.
No, I'm going to give you 1 more minute of my time.
All right.
I want you as a city to start working together. I want you to be better to each other. Be kinder to each other.
We are gonna
Smile
try.
more. And be more transparent, because right now you're not. Thank you for your time, Mayor.
Okay, that being said, Brad? New business? Old business?
I have something.
Okay.
I would like to suggest that all public works meetings be held jointly with the city council, and depending on the quorum or lack of quorum of council, the meeting status would be recorded in the minutes, whether the meeting is just a public works or a public works and special council meeting. The council will not be accountable for being absent, and this will allow the council to participate in discussions, whether there is a quorum or a lack of quorum. The status of the special meeting would be recorded by the city clerk at each meeting, along with taking the minutes of the meeting. All it does is allow, if there's a lack of a quorum, then it's just a public works meeting.
Yeah, can I comment on that?
Sure.
The Public Works Commission, oftentimes there's 4 or 5 council members there, and all that does is tell me, and it should tell everybody, that they're concerned and they care about what goes on. So when we go to a meeting, there's only 2 people that can speak at it with the council. And that's the way it is now, Shar, right?
Correct.
2 people can, so I think what you're asking for is that if it's a publicized joint meeting, we can all discuss and it's like a council meeting.
Yeah, and I think,
is that not true?
Yes, and I think John stressed it's frustrating to go to a meeting and not be able to talk. Because if there's a quorum there, you can't talk. So if you called it as a special council meeting and public works meeting held jointly, and if a quorum of the council does not show up, then it's not a special meeting because there's a lack of a quorum. And if the quorum does show up, it's a special meeting, a joint meeting with Public Works. And either way, the city council, if they want to come to that meeting, they're going to get to talk if they want to participate.
So not to bore the audience too much, but a lot of these decisions that come up here, sewer, road, whatever, if we could do them in a meeting and kind of slug it out a little bit, there would be less blindsiding going on when it comes to the council. if we can't hear it at a Public Works and respond to it, then we just sit back and say, all right, we'll deal with it when it comes to the council meeting. Not a productive way to do it, so.
I think it's a win-win.
Open is, the more open we can be, the better off we're all gonna be, and the more efficiently we'll work together, so.
Well, then, when it gets to the city
Yeah,
council, the Public Works doesn't get upset because we couldn't comment at their meeting on what we really think. And we're back to the Public Works working off of what we decided at the meeting.
So I don't know, what's involved in doing that? Just post them all joint meetings or something?
I don't see a legal problem, but I think Char would then have to adjust the whole city council calendar for the year, which isn't the end of the world. I'm just saying that's how I would do it. And just say if, I don't know how often Public Works meets, but just make that, you meet twice a month now, and you just change the official council calendar and publish like a normal meeting, and yeah, you're right, if there's not a quorum, same with like if only two of you show up tonight, we wouldn't have had a quorum either. I mean, that's the same law either way.
Yeah.
So you can do it, but that's how I would accomplish it is, don't, just make it a council meeting and just schedule them with the Public Works calendar.
A joint meeting. with
Yeah,
the
but I
Public
mean, do it
Works.
for the whole year, don't, I mean, because that's your new policy, yeah.
Because it happens more often than not, that the whole council is there, and it is unfortunate. Because.
But the council shouldn't be accountable for being absent. This is just so that we can talk if we do show up and
Yeah,
there's a
no,
quorum.
it's not mandatory, but.
Because I know you have a policy on commissions and meetings that if you miss 3 meetings, I don't think the city council should be accountable. It's an avenue where the council could talk. I think it would be beneficial to Public Works because they know what we're thinking.
The people of Cross Lake right now have got a very engaged council, and that's a good thing. You know, we have more meetings than I would want to admit to anybody. But anyways, that's what it's all about, is just being more involved. So can you make a motion out of that, Char?
I will make a motion to that effect.
Is that it right there?
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
Well, you better read it to us so we can second and approve it.
Oh, okay. I move that all Public Works meetings be held jointly with the city council. Depending on the quorum or lack of quorum of council, the meeting status will be recorded in the minutes whether the meeting is just Public Works or Public Works and special council meeting. The council will not be accountable for being absent. This will allow the council to participate in discussions whether there is a quorum or lack of quorum. Status of special meeting would be recorded by the city clerk at each meeting, along with taking minutes of the meeting.
Okay, do we have a second on that motion? I'll second it. Any other discussion? Okay, Char?
Dave Nevin.
Yes.
John Andrews.
Yes.
Dave Schrupp. Dave Schrupp.
Sorry, I had the mute on, yes.
Marcia Ziebert Bowles.
Yes.
Aaron Herzog.
Is there any old business? Let's get the heck out of here. We need a motion though.
I would like to make a motion to close the meeting in order to review the complaint, the respect to workplace complaint, any complaints from the employees.
Okay. We have a second?
I guess I wasn't expecting this.
Yeah. I wasn't either. Go ahead, Char. We're gonna have to close the meeting, folks. I'll meet you at Andy's.
Dave Schrupp. Dave Schrupp.
Yes or no?
Yes, for what? Closing the meeting?
Yeah.
This on the agenda?
No.
No. Just
No.
say yes. No? Okay, no.
Marcia.
Yes.
Aaron Herzog.
Yes.
Dave Nevin.
Yep.
John Andrews.
Yes.
What is it about? What are we doing?
I want to see the complaint. I want to see the respect for workplace complaint.